After school in St. Louis Park, the Moting boys unwind by shooting hoops.
It was a combined birthday present for them.
But their mom, Lily, and dad, Ross, have been through months of stress after their new neighbors, Julia and Fred Ramos, pointed out the in-ground pole was slightly too close to the property line. After working closely with the city, the Motings installed a new pole that the city council approved.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Months later.
Location in between houses where it's exactly along the line of our driveway. It's only 1 car width wide. So when there's any kind of activity, it's very dangerous for everybody involved because that activity involves our driveway. So they have very large, wide property, and then they have a second lot behind them where they already have a sports facility for biking and other activities. They have many other opportunities to relocate this basketball court within their house where their boys should be free to play and do whatever they want. I have not complained about the noise anywhere else or any other basketball hoops in the neighborhood. I'm complaining about this particular one because it's immediately in front of my door. I cannot walk out of my door. If I park my car in front of my door, I'm face to face with them and balls are flying directly at me. My kitchen window is right there. I have to watch them. I don't want to have to watch them. If they're just slightly further back in their own yard, this whole situation could be resolved so easily. So when Lily says that it's been very upsetting for her, it's also been extremely upsetting for me. I also have never been in a situation like this. I have never had to speak in front of a body like this, and I have certainly never had to ask for a restraining order because I feel unsafe in my own house because my privacy is broken all the time by grown men climbing through things into my backyard in front of my windows. I don't have any way to resolve this. I cannot move this court. They're the only ones that can do it, and it's very easy for them to do it. They have plenty of other locations and areas to do it, which, as you can see from people who I don't know, because they have never spoken to me directly. They told you that they know my side. They don't. They have never spoken to me. I have not been lucky to witness any help or respect or well-being from these neighbors, because not only are these balls flying at us, and when we invited them over for a glass of wine to discuss how can we do this safely, they refused and caused a scene. And so from then, we couldn't talk to them anymore. But also now, 2 of their trees fell on our yard, causing many thousands of dollars of damage, and they have not lifted a single finger to help or apologize or even show any kind of human reaction toward that. So all this evidence that they're so helpful and nice and they're great neighbors, unfortunately, we have not been able to witness that. We have not done anything to them. We do not trespass on them. We don't talk to them. We don't send them harassing emails. Obviously, there's plenty of evidence because Hennepin County granted me the restraining order, and they don't do that lightly. So there's plenty of evidence to show which side actually is not telling the truth here and who is perpetrating the harassment. So I agree with your attorney. This information is not something that you need to necessarily consider, and your decision should be strictly based on this specific code, and the code language very clearly says sports court that should be measured from a sports court. This is very different from all the other basketball hoops in the neighborhood that are not in ground. Those are not considered sports court. This is considered a sports court, and it's different from all the other basketballs in the neighborhood, none of which are in between houses. They're either on the garages or they're in the front yard. This is the only one that's in between houses in such a densely packed area. So please consider that the code language talks about sports court, not just the hoop. It talks about specifically sports court, which is an area necessary to carry out that activity.
I want to thank the City Council for reviewing this issue. We appreciate that. Did want to thank Gary as well. He's been helpful in our understanding of this issue. We have I would say, a very narrow disagreement, and the disagreement has to do with the location of the sport court up against our property line. And it's good to see our neighbors, and I also want to say this is not whether we're pro-basketball or anti-basketball. That's irrelevant. It has to do with whether this court is too close to our property line. So we did some investigation. We supplied some materials to you, looked at other city codes that pointed out, sports courts. So as Gary mentioned, the zoning administrator reached his decision by measuring from the equipment pole to the property line. The pole is not the edge of the sport court. Section 36-162D1, paragraph B of the zoning code says clearly that the measurement must be taken from the sport court. It specifically does not say that it's taken from any equipment within that sport court. And while the code does not define sport court, has been acknowledged, I think, by your general counsel as well as the zoning administrator. At the BOZA hearing, the administrator himself said a sport court is activity dependent. And this is consistent with all the research that we've done. It's activity dependent. In this case, the activity is basketball, which indisputably involves going in front of the hoop, underneath the hoop, and past the hoop, as is just a standard practice, and that's what's happened in our case. So I emailed this to Gary, but didn't make it in time. I don't know if I can show this, pass this around. This is.
You might want to wait to say your words. No, you might want to wait to say your words up until you get back to the microphone and pass that on.
Oh.
Here. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, just so that you can be heard.
So this is a photo from October 19th with two balls on our driveway. One ball is up against a property fence. One ball is essentially up against our house. How did these balls get here? Obviously, we didn't see the balls, but what we've seen in the past is the balls fly over the fence. This is not a question of balls sort of rolling underneath the fence or sliding around the fence. These balls go over the fence into our property. Our view, and I think it's a common sense view, that moving the sport court back a foot is not going to eliminate that. If you look at the distance to where that ball is to our house, that is not going to eliminate the issue that we have. I was walking around my neighborhood, and I have two more pictures. Can I bring it to you? Okay. Right, we're not asking you to change the code or apply any arbitrary standards to us. We're insisting that you apply the code so it's consistent with the unambiguous language that the measurement is taken from the sport court and not the equipment. And thank you. I do appreciate this.
Thank you.
Become much more personal than about a basketball hoop. And I'm a mom. I have two little boys. I have a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old who love basketball. The basketball hoop was a combined birthday present for them. It is not a sport court. We have a driveway. We, poured our driveway because we built a garage, and a year and a half later we put up a basketball hoop. So in no way did we set out to build a sport court. I will say that the interactions, I want to actually thank Fred, because Fred has been reasonable and rational about all of this. I cannot say the same about Julia. Julia has recorded my children with her iPhone, making them feel unsafe and awkward. When my husband approached her to ask her, "Are you recording my children? Like, can you please stop? They're on our property. Like, they're just shooting hoops. They're little boys. They're playing pig and horse at 4 o'clock on a Friday when this happened." And when he asked her to stop, she screamed profanity that she would record whoever the F she wants, whenever the F she wants, in front of my 9-year-old and my 12-year-old.
Filed last week, Ramos is asking a judge for a temporary injunction to stop the boys from using the basketball court for the next 4 months, while she does a construction project on her home. The Ramoses wouldn't comment today.
Well, I'm just curious though, like what am I missing? Yeah, no comment.
Lily says she can't believe what they're going through over a kid's basketball hoop.
They're 9 and 12. They should be able to play